What's going on, guys? And thank you for tuning back in today for an awesome deck profile. This one's awesome because we have the one and only Jonothan Maurer, top competitor in the One Piece card game. He just got top 16 with none other than Nami. And look, I'm excited to see this profile, bro. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, bro. So the floor is yours. Take it from here, man. I don't know if you want to just go through your matches first but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was a great day. Shout out to TAC. They've been doing great with their big One Piece tournaments. I had a very good mix of matchups. I feel like the meta's pretty good at the moment, or at least definitely in Australia. Like everyone's trying different stuff, which is great. It's good to
Yeah.
see. I believe my first match was Ace. Then there was Lucci. I played a mirror match. Little side note, it was the guy who came third. So Nami also came third. So for all the people who are sleeping on Nami, here's the proof on the weekend. It's a great deck.
Yeah, that's huge.
Um, I was his only loss as well. Actually, I feel bad because maybe Nami could have took the whole thing. But yeah, so there's a mirror match. I versed a couple of Zoros. I versed a Whitebeard, Captain Kid, Katakuri, maybe two Katakuris. It was a pretty good mix. Now my two losses on the day were to Whitebeard and Zoro. Basically, long story short, they came pretty hard, pretty fast. They saw all their rushes. I feel like this deck's one weakness is a lot of rushes because you don't have the Don because to do all your little tricks you need Don up. But yeah, no, overall it was a great day. I'm really happy. I guess I'll just go into the list and what the deck wants to do. So if you didn't know, the Nami leader is a very unique leader. Is the only leader with an alternate win con, which you're trying to go through for basically every single game. There is a niche scenario where like Whitebeard might go to zero life. You're not going to mill out. You've whittled their hand a bit, and like, well, you just got to hope and pray and go 15k to leader. That can happen, but besides that, if you mill your deck to zero cards at any point, you win the game. Doesn't matter if it's your turn, their turn. As soon as you go to zero cards in deck, you win the game. So that's basically how a deck is set up to survive and to get to zero cards. So I'll go through the list. We have for Kyle, the absolute MVP of the deck. You need to see this card. I had one game that was very dicey. Unfortunately I milled three of my Kai's. So I had to really, really rely on the last one, bouncing it back to my hand. But what she does, draw two and trash two from your hand. So you are just going two cards deeper in your deck and you're filtering your hand. MVP, you want to bounce her back, cycle her, get her off. You just want to play this card as many times as you can in the game.
Yep.
Next up, we got Chef Zeph. He's great. So it's 5 Don, but he will mill you two cards and he will bounce back or three or less. The best target is Kaya, but there are scenarios where you want to bounce back cards on their board, or if you have no other option, one of your smaller cards. I used it a lot against Law. Oh, that's right. I versed the Law as well. I used it against Law to bounce the Nico Robin. It was kind of a delicate dance where they kept playing their Nico Robin about to pop my Kaya, and I kept bouncing back their Nico Robin, saying, no, you're not going to pop my Kaya. He also, if you have a Don under him and he hits their life, he'll mill 7 cards. If you get that off, you're really good position to win the game. People will do whatever they can to not take that though, if they know how to play against Nami. It's careful with Zeph because it is a lot of Dom, but he is fantastic. He's a great card.
Yeah, that card's huge. I got hit by that
Yeah.
card. They milled 7 and I was yeah, bad position from there.
Yeah.
Very good card.
Just gonna find my other Pilos. There. Sorry about that. Sanji's Pilaf. This card is fantastic. 3 Don, Pot of Greed. It's just everything this deck wants to do. Get more hand, go 2 deeper, and the trigger is fantastic. Spoiler alert: this deck is full of triggers. Full of triggers. I'll go through them all, but this one's very simple. If it triggers, you draw 2 cards for free. It's fantastic. It's the best trigger in the deck. Probably the best card in the deck, along with Kaya. You want to see this card either in your life or draw it and play it. It is tricky on board on 3-on because especially against red, if you kind of open yourself up to get beat up on their turn. But sometimes it's your only early play. But yep, great card. You want to see this card.
Okay.
Now I am doing the Impel down version. I feel like this is the best version of Nami, the Impel down, because you get the best mix of triggers, searchers, and just other tech. So for Buggy, now this is a very, very tricky card because in my opinion, Nami is the highest skill deck in the game. The reason being because if you play 1, 2, or even 3 or 4 buggies in a game, like searches in One Piece, you put cards at the bottom of your deck, right?
Yep.
A lot of matches it doesn't matter, but with Nami, if you can remember what cards you've put at the bottom and where they're going to be, once you get low in your deck, 15, 10, 8, 4 cards, etc., if you literally know exactly in order what the cards are going to be, you can play your hand perfectly. You know when to draw, you know when to mill, etc., etc. So it takes a lot of practice. But if you can practice remembering with Buggy, it will really give you that edge in that end game scenarios.
I was gonna say that is huge brain power right there, man, and that's something else right there to understand that sort of line of mechanic that the deck can give you, and it's like,
Yeah,
high cost, high reward sort of scenario when you get down to that level
yeah,
in your
yeah.
deck, right?
Just
So,
to be clear, I'm not that like mega brain. I can't literally remember 15 cards in a row. But the thing that helps me is I'll remember key cards. For
yeah,
example, Kaya's, Love, Gavels, etc. So if I know when there's 8 cards left in my deck that I'm gonna Kaya into a Pilaf, into a Gavel, like okay, I know that I can invest on to Pilaf right now, or I can invest on to Kaya and Zeph and Kaya again and leave 3 up. But just crazy little things like that. So
yeah.
definitely, if you are going to try this deck, it is going to take a lot of practice, but it is possible. It's not as hard as it sounds, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it does. Cause look, I'm a red player, so I ain't touching blue, man.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Or just play red, turn your card sideways, and you'll still win.
that's it, man. Just like Dragon Ball. That's what I
Beauty,
love.
yeah, it's the beauty of the game. um, Good target for Buggy Bonkai, Mr. Two. You never ever playing this guy. He's just a 2K counter that you can search off Buggy. I feel like the deck was
Okay.
struggling on the early turns when you're tapping out, and just having a 2K in hand to get past some Zoro 6K swings helps a lot. Kind of troll, but a one of Mr. One.
Love it.
This is a good card. He is a search target for Buggy. I think I have 16 targets for Impel down, so I wouldn't want to go below 16 or 15 at the minimum. So I wanted to put him in as just another target. He can grab back your 1-drop events. A lot of the times he's just a 1K counter. But yeah, I felt like there was space for more other things in the deck, so just a troll one of on him.
Sometimes just that
Another
one off
troll
is
one
good.
of. Yeah, the reason he's a troll one of is because we go one Soga King because I
Yep.
pulled a manga rare out locals.
I
So
love
I
it.
had to put it. Yeah, I had to put it in the deck just to troll one of. He's usually a 1K counter, just pretty funny. You just turbo trashes and people are like, whoa.
I love how you play the
um,
one off manga too. It's just so good. Like,
yeah, yeah. Like in
that's awesome.
reality, this probably would be a second Mister One.
Yep.
But I had to do the troll one off. I had to do it.
Yeah, that's it.
So but he's not bad actually. So you play 7, you cycle 2, and if they've got a Marco or a Basil Hawkins or a big black body like and you can bounce that. It's usually worth it. And then he's a bit of pressure on board to clear their board. He's actually not bad, but most games he is 1k counter.
Yeah.
All right, so now we get into the meat of the deck, in my opinion, the events. This is what I definitely like class as a control deck, control kind of combo. And the reason being is because we play a bazillion events.
Yeah, that's
We're
wild.
very, very defensive, big giant wall. We're basically saying, "Come at me, bro." And the idea is to just really wall up, not take a lot of life unless you want to, and then stall the game out to give us time to get to enough Don to use our crazy cards that mill our deck. So we'll fly through the events. We've got 4 Deathwing. Deathwing is really, really, really good. It's a target for Buggy. It's 6k counter. So if they go big, if they go, all right, screw you, Nami, like I'm gonna go 9k or more, and put it on you to defend. Like this is the card that's gonna save you. Now there are cards in the deck that will discount our hand. If you have one of these in your hand, you can aggressively go down in your hand with Kayas and Gavels, etc. Because if this is the last card in your hand, you get to draw 2. So not only do you refill your hand, but that's 2 cards deeper in deck. So this card is just really good for defensively and to draw cards. The trigger is return a 7 or less to the hand. Doesn't say opponent or you. So you can pick realistically, you can pick almost any card on the board. So a lot of the times you'll bounce back your own Kaya, but if they have like a marker or whatever on board and you can slow them down, that's a great option too. That card's great. There are like a lot of play lines where you want to, like I said, aggressively ditch your hand, make this the last card in your hand, and then draw 2 to go back up. 2 Brick Fist. So it's an Impel down event while this is here. Return a character with 4 or less to the hand. The trigger does the exact same thing. So most of the time we're trying to do this on our Kaya to just get more plays out of our Kaya. So it's 3 Don for an extra Kaya, basically. Now, with that said, you will use it on like Atmos a lot. I use it on Atmos, like the 4-drop red cards. That's a very good play as well, I found. Just slow red down. Gum Rain. Now, this card is great. You definitely want to play a couple copies of this. It's an Impel down event, so you're going to find it off Buggy. It says you can trash a card from your hand and you get 3k power. So we don't have a lot of 2Ks in this deck, unfortunately. That's one thing. So we're most of the time to get defense, we're using our Don. So there are turns after you tap out, they might say, "Oh, okay, I'm coming in hard now." Well, you go surprise, Gum Rain. I can get to 8 for free, basically, which helps a lot. Trigger, return a 2 or less to the hand. Again, you're probably using that on Kaya a lot. Just another way to get back Kaya.
So you're just like constantly recycling your Kaya so you can then keep that draw power up to basically get to that point where you can mill yourself out, right? No,
That's right. Basically, see, the thing about Kaya, right, is she is a -1 from hand. So
Yep.
you play her, you draw 2, and you trash 2. So you are strictly losing 1. But the trick is you have all these bounce effects that bounce her back. That's 1 less in your hand. So your hand's either going up or down very aggressively, like either with draw effects, and that's where Deathwing comes in clutch.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that scenario where you're just dropping your hand aggressively, you want to cycle into a Deathwing or into Love Beams, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, that Deathwing is huge. Well, I mean, that's 6k. That got me a few times.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta say, it's very good.
All right, next up, Impel down All Stars. Now be careful. Your leader, to actually use this card, you need to be Impel down leader. So in hand, this literally does nothing. It's literally a dead card. The
Oh,
reason we play this, yeah, very spicy. The reason we play this card is trigger, draw 2 cards.
For the trigger, simply for the trigger. I love that. That's a
Simply for the trigger. It's the best. It's in terms of this deck. Draw two cards is the best trigger in the game.
Yep.
We have 4 Sanji's Pilafs, 4 Impel All Stars, and 4 Desert Spartas, all that draw two from deck. They're the best triggers in the game. So on average, you should hit one of those a game at least. If you're lucky, you'll get two.
Yep.
Now the good news is even a useless card in our hand is still good because we have so many aggressive discard effects. So just to make things simple, if you're using all this brain power, staying alive and remembering your deck, sometimes it's really good to just have a very easy decision. It's the easiest discard in the game.
Yeah, and then if you like, you're milling a card like that as well, you're not bothered by it too, are you? Because then you're just like, okay,
Exactly.
and
It's the best mill
effectively,
target and
yeah.
it's the best discard target. So it's actually sometimes having a useless card isn't bad. You always got to look on the bright side.
And this is why you have that big brain power, bro.
All right, 3 Overheat. Overheat's very good. Now, for something spicy, the other list that came third was not playing this card. And I couldn't wrap my head around it. I just couldn't. And we had a little chat, and he told me, well, you know what? People just really don't play into this card. And it's true. Because it's kind of obvious what you want to do with this card. You want to bounce back your Kaya. So if they have any way to pop your Kaya before you can use this, they're going to do it. But when you can get it off, it's fantastic. So you can bounce at 3 or less and get 4K. So
Okay.
most of the time you want to bounce your Kaya. Like I said, there was tricky scenarios, was bouncing Nico Robins and Zoros and whatever. Sometimes you have to do that. It's a good card. And the trigger is bounce of 4 or less.
Okay.
So again, if you get hit in life, it's a free bounce of your Kaya. It's a pretty good card. I'm not sure. After seeing what the other list and whatnot, maybe I'll tinker around a bit. But it is very good.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Or Gavel, Gum Gum Giant Gavel. It's really good. This is how you survive in the early game against a lot of pressure. It's 1 Don for 4K power, which is insane. Well, I guess red does it for free, but in blue that's insane because blue is very defensive.
Yeah.
But the cost is to discard a card. So again, that's we're aggressively discarding our hand a lot in this build. So it's okay, just do it if you have to. Don't worry, you will draw more cards later, and you get to mill 2. It's just a great card. You wouldn't want to run this card at less than 4 for sure, and it's got the trigger bounce of 4 or less to the hand. So again, most of the time we're going to be bounce Kaya right back to a hand. Just play Kaya again. It does come in pretty good against when they have a really threatening 4-drop on their board, like say an Atmos, or against black. It's probably worth it to bounce Borsalino because he's hard to clear on your turn. Yeah, it's just a great card. You want to run this at 4, 100%.
Yeah, that's huge.
4 Usopp's Rubber Band of Doom. Very good card. It's 1 Don for 2K power and mill 1. Pretty stock standard, pretty fair card.
Yeah.
Mill 1 plus 2. You're gonna play this a lot in the early turn just to survive 5Ks and 6Ks. Don't be afraid to use this when they only go 5K. It's still worth it. To just not take a life. Don't worry about over comboing. Just still use it. And the trigger is draw 1 and mill 1. So you're actually going 2 deeper when you trigger this. So it's very, very good. Now, again, spicy. The other list was only running 2 of this, which I couldn't wrap my head around. Like I'd always run 4 of this. But I don't know. Maybe tinker around with 3. See how you feel. But for me, I like 4 of this card. It's a really good card.
Yeah. Maybe with his testing, he found it very situational with other certain cards that he might have added in or out.
Yeah,
So,
look, it's when you get to the late game, you want to have power. Like you want Death Wings, you want Love Loves, for example. But in the early game, it's really good. I don't know. It all depends. I'm gonna tinker a lot this week. Maybe a mix of my list and the other list, and see how that goes. But we'll see. But that's the great card.
Awesome.
Two Love Beam. I'm only running two. You definitely want to run this card for sure. Somewhere in between 2 to 4. I'm only running two, and there's two reasons. The first reason is it's really bad in the early game. Because in the early game, you still have quite a healthy hand size for the most part. Because you still have your starting hand. Maybe you've taken one life. Maybe you've played a draw card. For example, usually you can't get this off in the first 3 turns. You just have too big a hand. So it's just pay 2 for 4 power, which isn't the end of the world. But you really want to get the draw off this card. That's where it shines. 4k power, draw a card, go one deeper in your deck. It's really good. You can make some really tricky plays with Buggy with this. If you stack this into a Gavel, or stack this into an Usopp, or stack this, even if you get the Dream, you can stack this into a Deathwing.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I might up this, I might not. The other reason why it's low, no trigger. It's probably the only event without a trigger. So the great thing about this deck is you have so many triggers that you are going to hit. You have more triggers than yellow in this deck. Put it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
It's crazy. You're going to hit on. I think I have 29 trigger cards. So if you do the maths on average, I should hit 3 triggers a game. So
Yeah,
that's really good.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
that's
Okay.
wild.
Yeah.
So it's
That's good.
really good. But it is a great card. Love. You want to run it. Last card, Desert Spider. 4 Desert Spider. The reason we want 4 of this card is trigger, draw 2 cards, and trash 1 card. So 2 deeper from deck. No, you're not losing any hand. Again, you really want to hit one of those triggers a game. It's fantastic. Now, again, this is a very big brain card because it's 1 Don plus 2. Look at 3 cards at the top of your deck. Put them back in any order at the top or the bottom.
Okay.
So a lot of decisions to make there. It really depends on what else you got in your hand. Whether you want to draw certain cards, you want to trash certain cards, you want to save them for later at the bottom of your deck. In this deck, you want to open up a Buggy or a Kaya. And if you just brick completely, but you have a Desert Spider, the first time they attack, you can use Desert Spider, check the top 3 cards, and make sure that there's something you want to draw there. If not, just whack them at the bottom, and it really helps you find either Pilaf, Kaya, Buggy on an early turn. So you can get cooking.
Yeah. So
You can do something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%, man. So that's where it's like information is everything, where you can help stack your deck and how you choose, how you see fit to help you then in the long game, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It is
Yeah.
very tricky. It's it's the kind of thing you'll make a mistake on here or there.
Yep.
Don't just play it for, like one day and then rock up to regionals with it. But if you got a bit of time and you can do a bit of practice with it, I feel like this deck can really reward people.
That's great, man. That's awesome. So like, this has been great because we've seen also a Nami that's recently took out, what was it again? The Asia
Yeah, it was in. I'm pretty sure
or
it was in
Japan? Or
Japan.
Japan, yeah.
It was in. I'm pretty sure it was in Japan, and I'm pretty sure it was like their equivalent of regional.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And that was
There's a
great.
video of it. It beat Law in the final, but yeah, it was. Look, it was pretty similar. To my list and the other guys' list.
Yep.
That now I will say next set, look out because there's a East Blue Searcher. That's a
Ah,
2K.
okay. Yep.
So in my opinion, that card is just going to push Nami into S tier.
Yep.
In my
So
opinion.
so this is just going to get better, which is good for blue. And
Yes,
I
it's
mean,
gonna get. Don't sleep on this deck. A lot of people really disrespect this deck. You might run into someone on the sim. They see you playing Nami and they quit. They just quit immediately. They're like, oh, I don't want to verse this.
yeah,
But you don't do that. Don't underestimate this deck. It's a very good deck. The Searcher is like go top 5 for an East Blue, but you got to trash 2 from your hand. But it is
yep.
a 2K.
Yeah.
So it's a, a big cost, but if you can search into a Kaya or a Pilaf, I don't know, I think that's worth it. That's pretty insane.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? They're trying to keep up that sort of like consistency in the deck on how you like, how you've built it and understand how it plays. Like you've just been saying, man. That's it. You got to stay true to it. You got to stay consistent, right? You got to don't just like pick it up and then put it down. you gotta,
Yeah,
you
yeah. It
gotta,
is
you
a
gotta
very
keep playing
particular,
with it.
like you have to be a very particular. It is a control deck.
Yep.
A lot of people, that's just not their style, Like that's
Yeah.
fine, no problem. Me personally, I love that kind of stuff. Every card game I play, I love that control. I love that defense. I love dropping huge bombs or huge combos.
And look,
That's
it's
my style, and I feel like if you want to play that in
yeah.
one piece, like a control deck, this is for sure the best control deck.
This is the one. That's awesome, and it's very refreshing to see. Good, like to see more blue up there, and to see that, it can deliver results when tested right. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you very much for the profile. It's so great to have you on the channel, bro. Really appreciate it. Just before we head off, now, is there any shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
First off, thanks heaps for having me, and first shout out definitely go to you, bro, and PX3, man.
Thanks,
You
man.
guys you guys kill it. All the games, especially all the banner games, like you're all over it, man, and it's really good to see. Yeah, keep up the great work. I want to give a shout
Thanks,
out
man.
to all the Sydney community.
Yep.
I play at the locals. I play it at, like, they're really tough, like
That's
really,
great.
really, really tough. There's a lot of great players in Sydney, a lot of great players all over the country. Like, it's really great. It's really great. So shout out to everyone there. And shout out to Grimdark Gaming. That's my favorite store I play at, and the team I play on. Brandon, who owns, he's done a great job of building a great community. If you want any singles for any games, go check out their website. Or if you're ever down in the Wollongong area, you've got to go in and check it out. It's unreal.
Awesome, man. Awesome. We'll chuck a nice big grim dark gaming link in there in the bottom description for him too. So
Oh,
yeah,
legend, legend.
shout out to Brandon there, man. I've spoken to him quite a few times over with DBS, and because he's a big Jiren Universe 11 fan, and he
He
sees
loves
I
it,
am,
dude.
so
He loves it.
it's great to converse with him and that. So yeah, that's awesome, man. So yeah, and thank you very much for the shout out. Much appreciated. You bring a tear to my eye, honestly.
All good, bro.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. There you have it, the top 16 Nami deck from Jonathan Maurer. Yeah, we really appreciate your love and support. So just remember to like and subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, Jono.
Thanks, guys. Peace.